Hi, I want to welcome everybody to the test security training for your technology department for the 2020-21 school year. Please know that I have given you additional trainings, unfortunately, that you need to watch those platform trainings through ETS so that way you'll know which platform needs to be loaded on each computer. So I know that you will be doing that at a later date. So this training is not going to take up a lot of your time. But again, that test security and the confidentiality training is critical. So we're going to go over a few components. And again, if at any point in time you have any questions about anything that is presented during this training, you're welcome to give me a call at 215-6824, or you can email me at dawn.sills@tisd.org. So the manuals. The bottom line is that any information that I give with you, it isn't everything. The manuals really are our greatest guide. So the best tool I can give you is where to locate those manuals so that you can read them in your copious free time and make sure that you understand what the expectation is, especially in the realm of technology. Because I do know that this year we are looking at more students possibly testing online. So we want to make sure that our district is adequately prepared for that. In order to view the different manuals that you have available to you, you would go to our Texas Assessment Management site, and you can see the link there. And you actually have quite a few different resources that you would be able to access. You can see that you have different users guides. You have the technology system. They've created a new layout this year of what that link looks like, and it's definitely more user friendly. So it starts out with the technology systems and gives you all of the tools there as to what is needed for each test that we take here in the state of Texas. Then it goes into STAR and STAR Interim, same platform, but we will be doing those STAR interims. We'll be registering the students for that, and some of them will be taking the STAR interim well before we even get into our December testing timeframe. So more information on that will be forthcoming. The next is our just the platforms, downloading files, what resources are needed. As we continue, you can see that there are resources for Star Alt 2, Telpass, Telpass Alternate, and then also it goes into the TestNav and the Proctor caching services. So lots of resources that are available. And again, like I said, the layout is much more user-friendly this year. So technology readiness, these are the two webinars provided by ETS. One is on the 22nd and one was on the 15th. These webinars are recorded, so if you are not able to watch them on the dates they provide, because there will be more in the future, that is okay. You can watch them later, which is fine. And so the expectation is that the webinars are viewed and that there's a roster that you sign, and obviously that you will need to sign an oath, just basically stating that you have been trained in the realm that's appropriate for you. So again, technology readiness, we do have these user guides. They were up on one of the previous pages, but we have the STAR Assessment Management System Users Guide, and we also have the Platform Technology Guide. Very great, useful tools that are located in our DCCR. You do have the link on one of the previous slides. They also give us a quick guide to online testing, when we should be preparing. We do have testing in December for our high school, our retesters. So these calendars will be provided to you as to when we're going to have the test. I know that principals are receiving these calendars so that they can review, because our testing window looks a lot different this year, because our spring test actually have 5-week windows, and even our Telpass window has been extended. So this is kind of a guide to do a backwards design of when is the test going to occur and what do we have to do prior to that test so that we successfully administer the test for all of our students. And so this is just one of our online testing quick guides to really start planning what's going to happen prior to that testing time frame. So we need to look at the minimum system hardware requirements. Again, I cannot even begin to profess that this is my realm. Your team has done an incredible job of making sure that we are ready with technology that historically has been just such an amazing task y'all have done. And so I want to make sure that I give you that credit because, again, I am not a technologist by nature. And so your expertise is really just driving all of our online platforms. So you play such a vital role. And I know that you're not, you know, in there proctoring the test, but we can't do this without you. So again, our appreciation is beyond measure. So, assessment instruments, we want to make sure that you do understand that even those online tests, the information that is displayed on those computers, it is confidential. We cannot share any of the testing content. So, if something does happen with technology and you are required to go into a testing um, environment, you will know that obviously you have signed an oath and you cannot discuss it. You are just there to help with that technology component. But on the another note, though, if you do hear or see something that maybe some a test booklet is laying out and no one is viewing that test booklet, these are items that we want to make sure are not left unsecured. So that goes in line with our test confidentiality and test security. So there are things that we really want you to look for, things that, we want you to listen for to make sure that we do not have any irregularities. But again, because you are so vital and you may be needed within a testing room, please know that anything that is in that room is confidential, and your oath does state that you will not share any of that information. Our motto is kind of let it go. It is what it is. So please just follow those mottos because it's really not worth it with all of the strict consequences that can come to play. So we do have online student assessments, and you can see that we have the STAR online for grades 3 through 8, TestNav. Pearson does our Telpass Alt, Star Alt 2. We are looking at a new vendor for Star. They said that we will know who that is soon. So hopefully it does not impact any of our Star online platforms. But as of right now, they have stated that we should be good to go. So more information may be coming soon, but we do know that Pearson is accommodating our Telpass Alt, and our Star Alt 2. We do have teacher assessments. So when TELPAS occurs, our teachers have to take calibration sessions. Those are secure. So we will need your assistance with our technology during those windows because TELPAS, we also will have those options on proctor caching or not. So again, those manuals are really going to help drive which direction you take with the technology during this testing timeframe for TELPAS. So your responsibility is enormous. You have to make sure that we have that network infrastructure and the computers have been evaluated to meet those minimum requirements, and that you are prepared for what you need to do before, during, and after those testing sessions. That during is so important because if technology doesn't work, we need to make split second decisions on what needs to happen. I will need to be notified because if it's something that I have to report to TEA, then I want to make sure that they understand if we have any glitches with our technology, how we're addressing that. But again, you're the boots on the ground and you will be helping with any challenges that might occur during that testing window. But definitely before is really where it all happens. And again, this district has done an incredible job of making sure that we are adequately prepared for all of our testing windows. So test security is simply that we're making sure that we secure all of our test materials. When it comes to online testing, we have test tickets that need to remain secure because it has secure information on them. But also, we're just trying to preserve the integrity of all the test content. We don't want to provide any unfair advantages by information getting out there and children hearing about it before they take that test. We just want to make sure that we, again, let it go. We let the students take the test, we send the test off for TEA to score, and then we get the results back, and we just keep moving forward. And so, if you are on a campus and not just with technology, but again, like I said, if you are there and you see booklets thrown about, that's something that we definitely cannot happen if they're not being monitored. So that is why you're signing that oath as well, is that you understand what security looks like and what confidentiality sounds like. So, secure documents, all of our test booklets and our answer documents, our online test tickets for STAR and TELPAS, our TELPAS calibration activities, and all of those holistically rating student performance rosters, our STAR Alt 2 image cards, our secure administration manual, excuse me, and secure test booklets. Basically anything that says STAR, TELPAS, TELPAS Alt, STAR Alt 2, and it has a corresponding barcode, that is most likely a secure document. And so you want to make sure that it is not left unattended by anyone. Otherwise, that is something that you would need to report to the campus testing coordinator. So confidentiality, again, just protecting the contents, not making, making sure we don't talk about it, making sure we aren't looking at what the students are doing. We're just, again, preserving that integrity of the contents. There are repercussions for people who violate this. And so we definitely don't want that to be something that happens in Temple ISD. Again, Temple does such a great job, but historically across our state, there are situations that have occurred. And so we need to make sure that we address them in all of our districts, regardless of how wonderful we are. So again, with that oath, and we need to make sure that those test administration manuals are being followed. And in your case, just making sure that you look at those manuals to know what is required for our technology parameters for Temple ISD. So no one can view those materials before and discuss those contents of the test booklet or online assessments. We can't do it before, during, or after. We do have some teachers who have to do oral accommodations, which means that, they have to read aloud the contents of the test. And so they actually receive additional training for that type of proctoring. So they know that when they sign an additional spot on the oath that says, yes, I know I'm reading and I know I can't divulge that. And so that's really important that you understand that really what we're trying to do is we don't want people talking about it. I mean, people can say, oh gosh, testing was so long today. Feet are killing me. That is okay. Or, just, wow, I'm glad that's over. It was a long day. But if we start talking about, wow, Johnny took forever, he didn't answer half his questions, he didn't put his writing composition on his answer document, those are violations. And we certainly don't want that to happen. But if you kind of raise your eyebrow and think, huh, is that something that I should talk about? Should I tell the CTC? If you raise your eyebrow and you ask yourself that question, you probably just want to go talk to the CTC. It really might be nothing, which is good, but you want to err on the side of caution too when it comes to testing, because if it is an irregularity and you did know about it, then that can have some repercussions too for not reporting. So we want to make sure that people are keeping the test material confidential and keeping those test booklets secure. So again, with confidentiality, um, we know we can't talk about it, but we also can't help the kids with a test. We can't directly or indirectly help them with changing their responses, instructing them to do so. I mean, those are conscious decisions that people will make. And so obviously we don't want to do that. And we definitely don't want to discuss any of those responses. So no looking over kids' shoulders. And that most likely will not be you because you're not proctors, but I don't know what type of testing environment you might be in on during our testing timeframes, because we don't ever know what technology is going to do on the day that we have a test. So, some sample irregularities in our online test. If the test administrator left a room unattended and the students are still taking the test, or the secure materials were in there and not locked up, and everything's unlocked, that is an irregularity. Um, the secure online test, when a student goes to a restroom break or if they go to a lunch break, they have to pause that test. And if it's not and the window is left open, that's an irregularity. Um, if they start, if the test stick is given to the wrong student and they start taking the wrong student's test, that is an irregularity. Again, the test administrator fails to read the manual. That's not something that you would really know because you don't have the manual. But again, it is something that if you're in a room and you're doing something with technology, not that you should be there on a testing day unless something is wrong with technology, but just by chance you're there and, you know, the proctor's having a casual conversation with the kids, that and they're supposed to be taking a test, that's not acceptable. Um, we did say that the STAR application, we need to make sure that those recent versions of our technology platforms are downloaded and the old versions are taken off. If that is not done, then it can result in an irregularity. And then technology and campus staff failing to review a device that allowed a student to access the internet while providing designated supports. You know, this is really hard because with TELPAS, it goes out to different websites. So there's so much that y'all do that I don't think people understand to make sure that they're not allowed to go to other internet sites, and you do put it on kiosk mode, but when it comes to TELPAS, there's other sites it has to be able to access. And so again, you are definitely the behind the scenes people to make sure that we are adequately prepared for all of our online testing. Serious irregularities, if a student is using their own electronic device and they capture, transmit secure test content, definitely a serious violation. If they actually photograph or duplicate any of those test contents, if you see a cell phone out um, and you hear kids talking about the test and test questions and sharing it with each other, you need to contact the campus testing coordinator immediately. So, unfortunately, like I said, there are repercussions, and any person who violates our test security and confidentiality rules, there can be some serious repercussions, for lack of better words. Again, they can lose their license, Class C misdemeanor, termination of employment. So that is why it is so important that it truly is a test that needs to be let go. We do our very best. The kids need to just take their test. Our teachers are incredible. Our technologists are incredible. Everything is ready for the kids to take the test. We just need to let them take the test. And if someone does try to talk to you about it, you cut them off. We're not going to talk about the test. It is what it is. And so we do not want any penalties for any prohibited conduct. So reporting the irregularities, and like I said, if you raise your eyebrow and say, should I? Should I? You should. And so you just go tell the campus testing coordinator. And if it is something that needs to be taken further, the CTC will contact me and any violations will be reported to TEA. And sometimes we call TEA and something that we might be like, oh my goodness, TEA is like, nope, that's okay. Or they're like, yep, that's an irregularity. So there are serious irregularities, but there's also just procedural irregularities. The defining factor between the two is serious irregularities. You'll see a common thread that they're intentional, they're conscious decisions. Procedural regularities is like, oh my goodness, I didn't read the manual appropriately and I deviated. Things that won't make you lose your job, but those serious ones are really what we're trying to prevent too. Because on the same token, we are human, and as long as we have no malicious intent, there will be some grace given regarding TEA. So we just want to make sure that no one is losing their jobs over a state test because it simply is not worth it. We can actually have TEA come visit us and monitor our testing environments. If they do, we welcome them. We know we're doing great things across Temple ISD. So I just want you to know that if they do, we're just prepared for such a visit, but it could happen. Please make sure that those technology guidelines are reviewed. Our CTCs, they rely on you. Again, like I said, you've done an incredible job, but we just want to make sure our technology is working to the capability and functions, utilizing the correct software that we need to make sure that we can perform those online testing requirements. Those technology guidelines, moving forward, because our district, we are going to start testing more online, and I know that the state wants us to be all online within the next few years. We need to make sure that we kind of look at how we're logistically running those online sessions. And so that kiosk mode, I know that you have such a good protocol set in place, but we're kind of in the phase now of we need to talk about how we're managing all of it. And so there's a lot of technology guidelines that we might put on these slides that we but more needs to be added, and we just don't know what that is at this point in time because more conversations need to occur. And so please know that um, the technology department will have those conversations about what needs to happen to make sure that our technology guidelines are followed, so that no irregularities occur. So we do have some designated supports and testing. We have speech to text that is occurring this year. So we will have the ability for our students to actually take the online test and speak into a headset, and it writes it out for them on the test. And so that is new this year for our STAR. They don't have to use a separate computer. So that should make everybody cheer. I think I can hear you right now cheering about that. We are so grateful to be able to take away that other computer, and it's all on just one. We have spell check, word predictors. So there are features that will be used during the online test, but those are things that I register with the students for. And so we just need to make sure that our platforms are correct to be able to support these features. So obviously, to prepare for the test, again, things you do, making sure that bandwidth is good to go. You'll be doing your great system check test. It tells you exactly how to do that in the manuals. We also have Telpest technology checks with a test nav. All of that will be done. It was done beautifully last year, and we kind of started Telpass. We had a couple of glitches because they added some new websites that they had to go to, but all in all, I think it went beautifully. We just didn't get to finish it because of COVID. So, again, there will be some technology checks for Telpass, and there's probably more information to come about Telpass. We just don't have it yet. We have to make sure that our kids have headphones. They need a microphone for the listening and speaking, but they don't need one for that reading assessment. All campuses have them. You should not be asked if you have any headphones for them. They do have them on their campus. We have technology checks for the STAR and STAR EOC. They have tutorials that they can take to make sure that their personal needs and preferences, which are their accommodations, are working well. So we do have those practice test tutorials and the STAR test that will need to be installed. And I know that y'all will work diligently on that before December's testing. ETS, they just want to make sure that if we have any issues like student login issues, making sure that the students are logging in the correct assessment. This is kind of a guide. You have done this far longer than I have. But again, they have some general troubleshooting tips, and they also have some student login um, issue tips for them. Um, just if there's any other guidance you believe needs to be shared with our CTCs, please let me know. And I will make sure that if you want to do a training, whether it be virtually or live, I am happy to include you in that. I know our testing window for December is coming soon, but it's really our spring assessments that we need to make sure that our CTCs feel comfortable with that technology. So I would be grateful if one of you would be willing to come share what guidance you have for us for that spring window. If the lights go out, it's not a scream and run time. If it's not working, we can have the students complete their test at a later time. Um, those test responses that are done prior to that interruption will be saved. And then when they resume the testing, they'll just be returned to the first unanswered item. But again, it's not a everybody panic and scream. It should be saved and they should be good to go and they can just log back in. So that was super quick. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time, but I hope that it was thorough enough for you to understand that our motto is let it go. It is what it is. And if you hear or see something that you just think is questionable, you just report that to your campus testing coordinator and they will contact me. But you will fill out your technology oath. I will make sure that it is embedded. Our district code is 014909. There are certain parts of the oath you do not have to sign. You are not a testing proctor. But again, you have been given manuals to know how to work through our technology requirements for each testing window. And so that is something that you will mark on the oath. And I'll be very specific with what you do need to initial versus what you do not need to initial. Again, if you do have any questions, you are welcome to give me a call or you can send me an email at dawn.sills@tisd.org. Thank you so much for your time. And we, again, appreciate you beyond words. Thank you.